Excuse me, your peacock is showing. Has anyone ever told you that before? Probably not. So I'm going to talk about a few things today so that no one ever has to, or at least wish that they didn't have to. So we're going to talk about the difference between confident versus cocky. And the reason that I want to do this is because I have sat in so many meetings and just watch people just have their peacock just right out in front of me, and how I just am mortified for them and want to just hide. And so the last time that this happened it was me and two men, and all they were doing was battling back and forth, trying to upstage each other. I was just like wondering, number one, should I involve myself in the conversation because I'm relevant? But I decided to just sit back and watch this show, and it was just the most absurd thing on the planet. And I don't want you to be a victim of that very same thing. So the difference between confident versus cocky. So I've got some synonyms here. So confident is self-assured, being positive, being assertive, being poised. And cocky is more like being conceited and overconfident and egotistical and boastful. And so that's the difference between those two things. And a colleague of mine, we started talking about these two things. What we really came to the agreement was there's such a fine line between being confident and being cocky. And confidence is absolutely necessary in your business. If you're a business owner, if you're an entrepreneur, it is necessary. Even in the dating world, I mean, it's necessary being confident. We should do that just for ourselves. We need to be confident just for ourselves and no one else. And that might actually be the underlying difference between the two. As opposed to being cocky is more like being arrogant. So in connecting and communicating with others, this can be the difference between if you close that deal or not. So I want to go over a few things. Whenever you're cocky, if you identify with any of these things, you might want to reevaluate your delivery or your communicating skills. So if you find yourself doing all the talking, okay, if you're doing all the talking, I want you to try to slow down a little bit, learn to listen and ask the right questions. Actually be interested in what the other person has to bring to the table if you find that you're the only person talking in the conversation, because it should be between two people. Also, don't lay all your cards out on the table and just throw up all of your accomplishments all over the other person. Because if you find yourself you're the only one talking and I've done this and I've done that and have you seen this and look at this and look at all the stuff that I've done, me. That's a sign that you might be more cocky than confident. And if you have the mindset of a know-it-all, sometimes it's hard to really tell if this is you. We can see it in other people pretty easily, but very difficult in ourselves. But just take inventory. And are you a know-it-all? Are you the type that you always have to be right? You know, me and my friend Glo, we were talking, and sometimes these people are convinced that they have no flaws. So, like I said, there's a fine line between being confident and embracing your flaws and moving on, or just being cocky, always having to be right, and you're just flawless and look at them over there, right? And if you're always trying to prove your worth, that's very different than knowing your worth. If you're trying to prove your worth in your words and your actions and trying to kind of keep up with the Joneses type of thing, you can come across as cocky. And sometimes we can all get caught up in proving our worth in certain scenarios and situations, but be sure that that's not you. Because the delivery, we might all be confident, but how we deliver that, your delivery can halt a business deal. And if you're trying to keep up a very specific persona, if you feel like it's work and you're trying to keep up a persona, I want to remind you that that's not authentic. People don't want that. So instead of that picture that I just painted about being cocky, let me go over and really refine what being confident is so that we can all strive to be confident, because we want that. We need that for ourselves and in our endeavors. All right, so when it comes to being confident, we do need to be assertive and stand your ground in the most charming way. And that is such I think maybe it's a talent, and it does take practice on being assertive, but not, I want to use a word that I don't think I'm supposed to use, but you don't want to come across as being witchy, all right? And whenever in a business deal also, you need to know your stuff. So don't come out trying to, in a way of trying to prove yourself, but just know your business and know your stuff so that you come across smart, so that you come across like this woman or this guy, they know their stuff. And don't be afraid to speak up, that's okay, in an assertive way. And like I said, know your value and know your worth without having to prove it. Being quiet and confident and poised in your stature can say a whole lot more than just trying to push your way through things, okay? And then the last thing I just want to leave you with is be humble and stay authentic. And sometimes this does take practice. And I think being authentic doesn't take practice, but being vulnerable enough to show your authenticity is what people really want. And I think nobody likes to be vulnerable, so we put this shade up and we show them who we want them to see, not necessarily who we are in an authentic way. So if you just break those walls down and realize that you don't have to be somebody else, and you don't have to be live up to a certain persona, but really do be vulnerable enough to be authentic and humble and poised in a confident way. Stand up, speak out in a most charming way, and I think you'll have it all together, and no one will tell you that your peacock is showing ever again. Thank you so much for joining me. Until next time, I look forward to sharing some more Tuesday Business Talk with you.